Today, I am lovingly calling some of you out. I have worked with and talked to and listened to hundreds of injury stories at this point, and I like to think of myself as a pattern person. I like to zoom out and see if there are some big picture patterns going on, and I think, yes, there are. I want to share them with you. Now, remember, here's my big asterisk. These are theories. This is an observation. These are still growing and evolving as I continue to hear more. But the point of sharing them is to hopefully either bring you some comfort if you are feeling the same way or if you see yourself in one of these. And I'm going to lovingly make some suggestions if you do see yourself in some of these. But also, as we all know, everyone's injury is different. Everyone's experience is different. So this is just kind of like in a way, a fun, silly, goofy episode. But I do think some of you need to hear it. Okay, first for this stereotype episode, we have the I'll lock in when. This is pretty much the equivalent to the, diet starts Monday pattern. And what I see here is like, okay, yes, after surgery, I feel like absolute crap and I'm not going to worry about anything for a few weeks and I'll lock in when I feel better. I'll lock in when I feel better. I'm going to give myself this time. But I see that backfire in a few ways. One, they'll then try to swing the pendulum way far in the other direction and suddenly be perfect when they do decide they're going to, lock in. And that's really freaking hard to do because let me remind you, unfortunately, you are still in the middle of a very challenging rehab. There's a lot going on. And suddenly adding this laundry list of nutrition, because let's be clear, right? That's what I'm talking about. We're going to lock in on nutrition. This adding this laundry list of how you're going to have perfect nutrition is really, really tough when you have decided not to worry about it at all for X amount of time. The second way that it kind of backfires on this group is they then feel really guilty. They have this regret and they really get overwhelmed by this quote lost period. And they get stuck in that thought. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I spent however much time not worrying about this at all. Now I feel like I'm so far behind. Now I feel like I have to make up for it in some way. And it just drives this spiral that, again, is not the best thing in the world when you have a bunch of other things going on. I say this all the time. Nutrition is a tool. Nutrition is not something that should be causing extra mental stress for you. And then three, and maybe the most important way that this backfires is it typically happens right after surgery. There's a couple other times it happens that I can talk about too, but I see it a lot right after surgery. And I think it's, I have compassion for this, right? Surgery is hard and that period after surgery really does suck and you don't want to have to worry about anything. But when we spend, zero worry, when we're not engaged in any way, you've now missed one of the most crucial opportunities of your rehab because those first, couple weeks are where you're going to lose the majority of your muscle. And nutrition can be a tool at that time to help attenuate that a little bit, to help. Don't get me wrong, you're still going to lose some muscle, but with nutrition strategies, we can try not to lose as much, and then you don't have as much ground to cover later in your rehab. The other time I'll see this is like, I'll lock in when I'm cleared to play or when I'm cleared to run. And again, then they have this overwhelming feeling that there's a lot of ground to cover, and suddenly they need to be in this huge calorie deficit or they need to be perfect. When in reality, when you are cleared to run or return to the field or whatever your new activity is after that clearance, you're probably trying to build some muscle at that time. And being in a big calorie deficit does not help that goal. So if you are in this group, if you hear yourself in these stories, I invite you to allow yourself to take baby steps and feel okay with it. And you are probably rolling your eyes so hard at me right now because I am kind of in this group with you sometimes. And I know it's really hard to hear. But Baby steps are in so many ways better than no steps. I need you to set one small, very doable goal, not a laundry list. I need you to just focus on nailing protein at breakfast instead of tracking and nailing every single meal. So let's revisit the post op example. Again, yes, I have compassion that that time really sucks. You are in pain, you're probably nauseous. The last thing on your mind is food. So obviously, I don't want you to have this laundry list of checks if we just are not mentally there yet. But maybe we have one check mark. Maybe we at least have some protein shakes in the fridge and we can drink one of those a day. Maybe we can drink two of those a day. Maybe your baby step is smaller than that. Maybe your baby step is just eating something, right? There's no shame in how small the baby step is. But I do think if you are someone that tends to fall in this pattern, when we have something that we can anchor to that's like, oh, yeah, in small ways, I have been working on this the whole time, we save ourselves that guilt and that panic that can happen later on. And I guess maybe speaking of panic, the second stereotype that I have really noticed as a pattern is what I call the 3-month panic group. And this is a pattern I've observed, after a surgery, especially in a rehab that's going to take a while, an ACL, 9 months, 12 months, whatever. Around month 3 or 4, people hit the absolute bottom of their self confidence in this journey. Whether it's true or not, and I would love to do a research study on this where we measure body composition changes throughout the rehab and people's perception of their own body composition. But whether it's true or not, people feel that their body at this month, this like 3-4 month mark, they feel that it's massively different than it was before. And then on top of that, because we are only at the 3-4 month mark and we do have a long ways to go, they're struggling to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And they come to me and they're like, oh my God, I need to turn this ship around right now. And my challenge for you, well, let me start by saying this, right? This is a pattern that I see. So if you are in that stage right now, I want you to know that I think that's really normal. I think that's a really, really hard time in almost everyone's rehab. I think the 6 month is another like slump time that I see for a lot of people as well. So I just want you to know that you're not alone. But my challenge for you or encouragement for you at this time is this is where we can really lean into some self work and some body image work. And maybe just like the first group, you're just rolling your eyes so hard at me. But this is not a point where it's helpful to crash diet. This is not a point where you're typically allowed to exercise enough to reach a calorie deficit. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Let me be very clear. We can work on body composition here. And all those athletes that do come to me in a panic, we do work on body composition. But it is a slow process. It needs to be a slow process. It's definitely going to be slower than you want it to be. And during that process, this is usually when we can dig a bit deeper because there are bigger things going on here. Like maybe you're actually really struggling because you haven't been able to move in the way you want to for the past 3 months and you've lost that piece of you. Or this is where that fear of your body changing is really, really coming to the surface. That fear is coming from somewhere. And also this is your reminder that your body will continue to change throughout your entire life, not just this injury. And I need you to be able to show compassion to it and find it worthy regardless of where it's at. Loving and appreciating who you are and your body when it's not 100% how you want it to look or not 100% moving how you want it to move is a big challenge, but it is life changing. And when we can let that self-judgment go and that panic go, your life, especially through this rehab, because again, even if we are trying to make body composition changes or see something different in the mirror that you want us to see, that's going to take some time. So if we can let that judgment, that panic go, your life can become so much calmer. For the record, all of my 3-month panickers have exited this panic around month like 6 to 8, because we do see the body just naturally shift again. We do start moving again, and we have those endorphins swirling again, which is helpful for overall self-opinion. Actually, wait, let me interject and put this in here. A fascinating thing that I have learned while learning more and more and more about body image work is women, specifically women, when they are experiencing any kind of stress in their life from anything. So, month 3 of a surgery is a major stress. Any kind of stress, they tend to take that out on their body image. So let me explain. Maybe you are feeling anxious about whatever. You are more likely to be dissatisfied with how you look in the mirror. Not because how you look in the mirror has actually changed, but because we know how to take out that emotion on ourselves in that way. But anyways, for the record, all of my, 3-month panickers have exited that panic around month 6 to 8. But the ones that work on body image during that time have a significantly smoother ride, and they have a skill that they get to bring with them for a lifetime. Because again, your body will change your whole life. And I do think a lot of those athletes that do work on that skill, it's not like we magically turn around one day and we feel fantastic about ourselves. But a lot of athletes that do start to do that work see that as one of the blessings that came from their injury. The opportunity to start to love and respect and treat ourselves with kindness and know we are worthy, regardless of the size, the shape, the function of our bodies. It's just a shell. It's just a shell. It's not who you are. Alrighty, and then number 3, and the one that I see most often, unfortunately, is, what do I want to call this? The I'm not good enough group. I'm going to swear, I'm a huge giant asshole to myself group, but also at the same time so supportive and loving and caring and empathetic to others group. I know I should treat myself the way I treat others, but I just can't group. I want to be super, super, super clear about something, and hopefully I already have been, but yeah, injuries are hard. Injuries are jolting to your life. Injuries shine a giant spotlight on your daily habits, your routine, your self-talk, your self-belief, your self-worth. I don't care if you think others have it worse. I don't care if you're quote unquote only a beer league soccer athlete or only a D3 athlete or whatever. This is true for every major injury. Injuries are hard. And for some reason, you guys still expect yourself to get through this huge, giant, life altering thing with 0 mistakes and be happy and perfect all the time. And you beat yourself up when you're not. And it's so frustrating because some of you guys are brutal. Some of you guys are so mean to yourselves. You're so worried about going up a pant size, or your friend got cleared to run at month 5 and you're at month 6 and you're not cleared yet, or your strength symmetry isn't at 100% symmetrical yet. I am not exaggerating when I say every single athlete I have worked with is an incredible, impressive person that works really hard and is kind or funny or, whatever it is. And almost all of them severely underestimate themselves, and they have a really hard time celebrating the little wins, taking the little baby steps that we talked about earlier. But how many athlete articles have you read that suggest you celebrate the little wins? Because that's how, how the heck else do we get through this? We have to celebrate those little achievements. So if this is you, if this sounds like you, if you're like, yep, I'm in the asshole category, my challenge for you is to learn how to start talking back to that voice. You have a little devil on your shoulder that's trying to convince you eating more than 2,000 calories a day will make you gain weight, and that will suddenly make you a bad person. And all the people in your life will text you and say, hey, we don't love you anymore. Bye. That's not going to happen. And you need to recognize that that is a devil on your shoulder. I want you to put an angel on the other shoulder, or your own self. I want you to talk back and say, nope, no, 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 no. This food is important because my body is working hard right now, even if it doesn't feel like it because I'm laying on the couch all day. I am all for discipline. I am all for goals. My athletes and I work on body composition goals. We work on healthy food choices. We work on the habits that truly do allow food to be a useful tool in this recovery process. And also, I think the moral of what I'm seeing with so many athletes is I need you to allow yourselves to remember you are human and that perfect is not the goal and it's not the expectation. It's okay. It's okay to be kind to yourself. You will not spontaneously combust, and all your friends and family will not text you and tell you that you're not good enough. And if you truly think that some of them will, then, well, that's an episode for another day. Anyways, that's all. That's my silly little stereotype episode and my challenge for you if you are seeing yourself in any of these stereotypes. Obviously, I'm seeing all of this through the lens of food and body and how people get stressed out about that. And also, I think it's pretty obvious that these can be applied to other aspects of your whole life, probably. But just remember, again, if you see yourself in these, there's dozens of other people that I have seen similar. There is a whole community, and it can be really helpful to find that community because, again, a lot of you guys are really mean to yourselves, but really nice to other people. Maybe it feels weird to shut that voice down when it's in your own head, but it feels okay to help another do it. And a big, big piece of the community that I'm trying to build, that is what that is for. A reminder that that community exists. It's already up and running. And that link to join is in the show notes. I will end today's episode with the typical happy fueling, but I will also say be kind to yourself. You're probably killing it and you're not giving yourself enough credit.